Hey guys, Spirit of the Law here. Just recently in the Ethiopian Civ overview, I was talking about how their extra food and gold bonus could help you advance faster, which has really gotten me thinking about advance times in general. Specifically, what are some good benchmark times to advance to the next age? A lot of people use advance times as an indicator of how well you're doing, with the assumption that the faster you're advancing, the better of a player you must be. To an extent, that's definitely true, and good players tend to have strong economies that allow them to go through the ages more quickly. But advance times also do other things, like indicate which strategy someone might be going for. Even if you're not at a level where you're close to the ideal times, it's still worth knowing how your times stack up, and how you can use them to read what your opponent is doing. We'll also hear from the best player on HD, and what his thoughts are on the topic. Let's check it out. First of all, if you don't already, hit F11 next time you play to get the in-game timer. For any numbers mentioned, I'll be referencing what that timer says as you reach a particular age. Now, it pretty much goes without saying that advance times to an extent are going to depend on the map. For example, Yucatan is much more forgiving and faster all around, and Nomad is just slower and more inconsistent. Civilization choice can also have an impact, and civs like Mongols and Malay are going to be faster at getting to Feudal Age, and Byzantines and Koreans are going to be slower because of their lack of Dark Age economy bonuses. Also keep in mind with the numbers I give about population, I'm talking about the number of villagers. So if you still have a scout, you'll have to subtract 1, and the same idea if you have militia or archers. So to start things off, let's assume you're playing standard resources on a land map like Arabia, and let's see what time you'd hit Feudal Age, assuming you have absolutely no time where your town center is idle from forgetting to queue villagers or getting housed. For a 19 villager very fast advance, say maybe for a tower rush, we're looking at clicking up to Feudal Age at 7 minutes and 5 seconds. The actual advancing to Feudal Age takes another 2 minutes and 10 seconds, so you'll be reaching theoretically at 9 minutes and 15 seconds. Now if instead you decided to go up a little bit later at 22 villagers, that puts you clicking up at 8 minutes and 20 seconds, which reaches Feudal Age at exactly 10:30. Anything under 11 minutes, I would personally consider with intermediate games on HD to be a solid feudal time, and tells me that person is a very competent player. And anything under 10 minutes suggests something very aggressive is going on. What that might be depends on the civilization though. If it's Mongols, that implies a scout rush, or if it's Koreans, it implies towers. That's why having a working knowledge of different civilizations' bonuses can help you predict what they're doing. Now, if instead you advance with 24 villagers, which you might do for archers, perfect efficiency gets you there at 11:20. Once you're in Feudal Age, it can really go any direction, and depending on how invested you get in Feudal Age fighting, you might be Castle Age at 20 minutes, or it could be 30. You just go up when you can, and it depends on what's going on in terms of military and your own economy. Generally though, the player that's doing better goes up first. To summarize so far, 10 to 11 minutes is the expected range for Feudal Age rushing, and 12 minutes is really about the slowest you want to go up if you're planning on archers or something more aggressive. On the other hand, you can also make the choice to hang out in Dark Age a bit longer and make some extra villagers, with the intention of jumping through the Feudal Age to get to Castle, either to boom with more town centers or to go into Knights as the pocket player. Often I've found people going for a fast castle advance to feudal with somewhere around 25 to 28 villagers. Though if you're making militia, you can go up even a bit later than that, and anything up to 30 villagers is common to see. Remember, these are all numbers of villagers in the Dark Age. Of course, you continue to make them after you advance. Now using those numbers, and again assuming loom and constantly producing at the town center, that puts you reaching Feudal Age anywhere between 1145 and 1350. Now the 1350 is with the 30 villagers and a militia rush, so you don't really want to be reaching Feudal Age much after 14 minutes, even if it's a fast castle. In general, 13 minutes seems like a reasonable benchmark I'd expect to see from someone fast castling, maybe plus or minus a minute. Now none of this so far is the castle time itself, it's just the feudal time if you're trying to head to Castle Age as quickly as possible. Now you'll spend at least 50 seconds in Feudal Age making the necessary buildings, ideally putting out just 2 villagers. The Castle Age advancement itself takes another 2 minutes and 40 seconds as well. Assuming you can keep it to just 2 villagers in Feudal, and you originally went Feudal at a very fast 25 villagers with no loom, you're looking at a perfectly played castle time of 1450. I'm not saying it's impossible to go up faster, but that would be an impressive time to hit consistently with most civilizations. Any earlier than that and you run into trouble putting down town centers or making units, and it's a bit like changing gears in your car too early and stalling the engine. If instead you went up with the more standard 27 villagers and made 2 more in Feudal Age, that gets you there at 1605. I think that's a more reasonable benchmark, and even going up with 1 more villager reaching around 1630 is still a solid fast castle in my book. You'll probably find you can do a bit more with that when you reach the Castle Age as well. If we push it right to the limit for argument's sake, and you go up with 30 villagers in Dark Age and make 3 extra villagers in Feudal, that gets you to Castle Age at 1745. To me, that's pushing what we can even call a fast castle anymore. In fact, I'm going to put it in quotes. At the same time, of course, there are exceptions to everything. Just as one example, the Saracen Monk Rush has you hitting Castle Age 14 minutes or earlier, and there are always surprise strategies that are going to be exceptions. For completeness sake, I want to mention a fast Imperial as well. You see this sometimes from a few civilizations like Turks, Aztecs, or Byzantines. Assuming 30 villagers in Dark Age, 2 in Feudal, and 3 more in Castle Age with no loom, that would put your Imperial time at 2120. Maybe on Arena or Oasis you could get away with that. My general rule for Imperial Age is anything after 30 minutes is reasonable, and anything after 40 minutes is late. But again, that's going to depend on how the game is going up to that point and what level of competition you're against. So to bring it all together, I'd consider the healthy range of a fast Feudal for an intermediate HD player as being between 10:30 and 11 minutes, and a solid fast castle as hitting Feudal around 13 and reaching Castle Age sometime between 16 and 17 minutes. None of those are elite times, but are certainly enough to start winning games online. This is all just number crunching of common villager numbers and my subjective opinion though, which is going to reflect my rank and the players I play against the majority of the time. To get a different perspective, I asked the best HD player and one of the top players in the world about his thoughts on the topic. Let's hear from him. So obviously, Tatoh, you're one of the elite players in the world. I'm curious, how much do you focus on advanced times, and do you think that's an important source of information for you when you play online?
In my opinion, it's a really important source of information because it gives you a lot of information about what your opponent is going to do, at least at the highest level. Like, for example, if my opponent is going super fast to Feudal, it might indicate like he wants to tower us or he wants to go scouts. But if he decides to go for us a bit slower, the difference between this time is not so big. It's maybe 30 seconds, 1 minute, but at least it gives you some information.
So you're saying faster or slower. What would be a fast time?
A fast time will be like, for Feudal, will be below 10 minutes.
Yeah, that sounds very fast to me.
Yeah.
So would that be a good time then for scouts or archers?
If you want to go for scouts, you want to make damage before he can, like, for example, wall himself. If you give him some time to protect his resources with walls or even spearman. But in the case that I decide to go for a scout, I want to go Feudal as fast as possible. And then I try to have an impact before he has all the resources protected.
And so for you, going up fast would mean less than 10 minutes. And for somebody else, that might mean like 11 or whatever, right?
Yeah, the ideal time is like 20 fields with plus a scout. And for that app, you need to skip loom. And with some civilizations now, in the expansions, you can get faster. Well, with Mongols, usually go for 18th, even 19th up. So that's super fast. In the expansions, Franks is super fast as well. Indian is super fast, even Malay. So yeah, I think it's really important to get a good uptime if you want to go scout. In case for the archers, it's different because if you want to go for archers, you're going to need 2 buildings. And also you need a mining camp. So you need to invest way more wood. So if you want to go for a super fast uptime, maybe you are not going to have enough resources for all that stuff. So for that, I prefer to go a bit more like, will be like 22, 23, even 24. I mean, it's not a huge difference in lower skill level games, but as you are improving, you need to optimize that. I mean, if I can even do it with 21, but you need a perfect map for that. It's not usually worthy.
Just out of curiosity, what would you say is the fastest civilization for advances? Do you think that's Mongols?
Yeah, and Malay, both. I think both are really good
Sure.
now.
So I know you're very welcoming on HD and open your games to a lot of different skill levels. In your experience, as people start to become above average, what sort of feudal times do they reach?
Well, I guess that 10-minute mark is around between 10 and 11 minutes is a good start point. Like, it depends how many views you have when you reach, and as well, how is your dark gates? Like, if you have optimized it completely, it helps as well, because even if we have the same time, probably I will have micro better the builds than any lower skill player, and I will probably gather a bit more resources.
So switching away from feudal age, what would you say is a good fast castle time?
I think it's relative depending on the strategy you want to make. For example, from my point of view, when I'm playing as pocket, if I want to get like more economy approach, I prefer to go one stable. And then if I want to go one stable, I don't have to invest too much into knights. My approach is go for economy. So in that case, I would like to have a faster uptime to castlate. Like it will be around 16 minutes, depending on the civilization, depending on your star. If you have deers close, because if you can lure the deers, you don't have to invest in a meal. In case I want to go for more a military approach, like going for two stable and trying to get pressure in the map, I prefer to go a bit slower to castlate, but with more technology, like getting all the economy upgrades, getting even knight armor, depending on how is my flank doing. So yeah, it depends on my strategy, but mainly 16 minutes, 17, even 18th is something okay.
Oh, yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, normally I think I'm sort of trapped in that too of thinking, oh, faster is better. But that's interesting hearing you say even, 18 minutes, which I think for a lot of people, even kind of middle players, they would sort of be able to do that. But like you say, you're probably doing a lot of other things in behind that other people aren't, which is probably making it a lot stronger.
Yeah, because even if I go 1 minute later than you, but I have like two stables working all the time, and with upgrades, I can have a bigger impact in the early castle. But at the same time, this is more like it's riskier, because if you don't make the damage at that point, and the other pocket is going for more economy approach, you will start fall behind all the time, and even the game goes longer, you will start being more and more behind. So you need to make the damage. You need to play aggressive in that case.
So I know you've covered them a lot in your tutorials, but generally, what sorts of things do you think people can do to improve their advance times? Or what sort of mistakes do you see people making the most?
I think people make the mistake to, at least at lower levels, like they start taking resources that they are not going to use in later states. Like, for example, if you want to play feudal, people start like mining stone and gold in dark age, and that means that you are investing wood in mining camps and you are investing villagers mining those resources. So that's for sure gonna delay your time.
So do you have any stories about really crazy advance times that you've encountered in a game before?
Oh yeah, like it was a long time ago, but I remember that we were making some weekly challenge. Who could get the fastest feudal time? And I believe that someone made it below 6 minutes with Mongols.
Wow.
Yeah, it was crazy. And same with Castle Age. I'm sure that someone made like 10 minutes, 30 seconds.
With standard resources. Wow.
Yeah. Standard resources. I think it was in Yucatan that you have a lot of food, of course.
Sure.
But
Yeah.
still, it was crazy. And in multiplayer, let's say that with Malay, we haven't played too much with them, but lately, like I'm using them a bit more in 1 versus 1. There are some games where you have to play a race to Imperial because you have two castles in front of each other. So you know that if you go faster than him into Imperial, you will have your first rep out first. As you might know for sure, because I'm sure that you made even a video for that. A score gives you a lot of information. So when he drops the score and I realize that he's up, I start selling all my resources into the market and try to go up as well. With Malay, you can do that because even that you are a bit slower than he click into Imperial, you will reach faster than him. And I won the trap war, and then I won the game. So yeah, it was super nice.
That's awesome. What would be like the fastest Imperial time that you've ever seen or that you can remember?
Oh, I have done 19th, but with a sling, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, I think you can do like 17, even less maybe with Malay. I didn't test that yet.
It's better than most of my fast castles. Cool. All right. Well, thanks so much, man.
Thank you so much.
So hopefully that helps you put some different advanced times into perspective. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you next time.